Well, hello everyone. This is Sam Castor, and I wish I could be with you. Everyone at the FMCI organization, I know you're having a great conference today. Originally, I was scheduled to come in, but I had a conflict of being in Canada and Montreal and getting to Oklahoma in the same day. And it looked like I could do it, and then all of a sudden the flights didn't cooperate. So thanks for allowing me to share the story of EmSquared with you today. Special thanks to Apostle Hodges, to Apostle Tammy, and to Nathan Isaacs. You guys, have been talking with me over the last months, even years, about this project and sort of what God was doing in this realm. Apostle Hodges, you and I talked, seems like a couple of years ago, and I kind of told you our founding story. My wife and I in 1993 were at a place where we were moving out of business and felt called to ministry. We were praying about it, and my wife got a revelation from God that He was going to move us into a company of provision, a Joseph company, that would meet the needs of people in all nations of the earth. And I think I remember talking to you, Apostle Hodges, about that, and it's like how perplexing that was to us because we had no idea what a Joseph company was. Never even heard that term before. And anything we could find out about it really didn't have much substance to it. But a few years later, I ran across a book. It was called The Seven Mountain Mantle. And it gave me some great perspective to that. Let me just read it to you real quick. It said about 15 years ago in 1994, exactly when we got the revelation, a new marketplace vision arose from the church with scores of books coming out on the subject. What was unique about this new focus and what set it apart from other previous focuses of faith in the marketplace is that it was accompanied by a faith that society could be transformed. This movement has been a preliminary manifestation of the Joseph Company. It went beyond the goal of just getting people saved and of having prayer meetings. The stated mission was to see societal transformation. Though the movement lacked a template for how this could viably take place, there was faith to declare that transformation was possible. And that's where we were in 1994. We knew that there was a calling on our lives of some significance. We just didn't know what to do about it. It just so happened that I started a brand new company that year in 1994. It was in nutritional science. We discovered new techniques for extracting whole food ingredients from food instead of using the typical synthetically made nutrients that proliferated the food industry and the supplement industry. And we really believed that somehow finding whole food nutrients and discovering ways of providing them in standardized, nutritionally effective forms had something to do with this company of provision that we had been called into. But we started building a business around that and selling those products. We got 80 patents around the world on those kinds of technologies. But as the years moved on, 1995, 1996, 1997, somehow we were struggling to find the connection between what we were doing in ministry. And then in 1997, we were working with an orphanage organization out of Romania, just financially supporting it along with some other people in our church. And the caregivers came and shared, what they'd done with the contributions and how they were trying to improve the lives of these kids. But at the end of the discussion, she said, but it's heartbreaking to see what's going on with our children. They're sick all the time, and we don't know what to do about it. And I'm sitting here with the development of some of the most advanced technologies in nutritional science. Everything that she was talking about that was going on with those children was a malnutrition-related issue. So I walked up to her afterwards and I said, listen, this is who we are. This is what we do for a living. Let us donate product to you. I know it will impact those children. At the end of the year, we got back with her, and sure enough, what a dramatic change in the lives of those children. And so we just felt like that was the ministry calling on our lives, is to connect what we were really good at doing with what we were passionate about doing, which is saving the lives of children. You know, my wife and I have a passion for fatherless children. Many of you know this, but we adopted all of our kids from all over the world. So this was very unique and very special to us. Well, after that year, we thought we've got to find a way to formalize this. And because there was no template for this Joseph company, we did what we knew to do. We had a for-profit company, and we just started a not-for-profit ministry called Manna Relief. And it was a great blessing, but it ran off of the typical charity model. And what that means is that I found out real quickly we became full-time beggars and part-time workers in our ministry. Because without money, nothing happens in that model of distribution. And we did our best. We raised money, and in the next decade, we sent products to kids in over 80 countries of the world, doing our best to meet the needs of the world's most vulnerable. Then 2008, 2009 came along, and it caused a major shift in our thinking, because that's when we went through the economic meltdown in this country. And no doubt it hurt every industry. But listen, you guys know this better than me. No industry was impacted as much as the not-for-profit industry. We lost maybe 70% of our donor base in about a year, year and a half. And so we struggled with that, because it wasn't just a loss of income to manage Manna Relief, which is the building I'm sitting in right now. It meant that 70% of the kids that we were helping, we had to cease sending product to. And that's heartbreaking, to know that those kids go right back to where they were before you found them years ago. So we started praying that God would reveal to us a new strategy, a new model for doing what we were passionate about doing. My answer to prayer came late 2010. Somebody sent me an article from Harvard Business Review entitled, "Can Entrepreneurs Save the World?" And I thought, I'm an entrepreneur. That's my passion. What is this all about? Well, it was about a whole new business strategy called social entrepreneurship. Now, that's a secular term for what I think is the Joseph calling. The only thing is, the world, when they created social entrepreneurs, did build a template of how to do it, created a structure for exactly what we're talking about. I got so excited about social entrepreneurship, I couldn't hardly sleep at night. I started Googling it. I started buying every book, reading every article. And what I found out is that it basically took the two components that I'd created, a for-profit entity and a not-for-profit, and put them together into this new model of social entrepreneurship. And so I was just overwhelmed by the opportunity of doing that. The problem is that I already had a for-profit company that was already structured, all of its profit margins, all of its distribution monies. It was publicly traded. Your first obligation is to shareholders. I quickly realized I couldn't retrofit this concept of giving into an existing organization. I had distribution partners all over the world through Manna Relief that helped me take the products that I'd created and get them to the world's most vulnerable kids. Well, my distribution partner in Mexico was the former president of Mexico, Vicente Fox, and his wife, Marta. And so last year I was down in Mexico, and I was talking with President Fox, and I said, "Are you aware of the new model of social entrepreneurship? I am just overwhelmed with the opportunity it brings into the marketplace, or from the marketplace, to create sustainability to not-for-profit missions." And he said, "I'm very familiar with it." And he said, "In fact, I'm going to host the first conference on social business in Latin America this summer. And I would love to have you come down, because I think there's some sort of collaboration we can create from that conference to help do what we're doing with children much more effectively." He said, "My guest speaker is going to be Mohammed Yunus, who is the creator of the Grameen Bank in Bangladesh. And he's sort of the poster child or the face of social entrepreneurship. The Grameen Bank created a loan instrument called microfinance, and it was designed to put poor people into business. And it's become today known as the #1 strategy in the world for fighting global poverty. So this is a for-profit bank that would take its normal profits and reinvest them into the lives of people who all they needed was an opportunity to succeed, a chance to work themselves out of their hopelessness and despair. And it was so successful that Muhammad Yunus won the Nobel Prize in 2006 for the creation of microfinance. So he came to Mexico. I went to the conference. What an inspiring man, someone that really understands the model of social entrepreneurship. And he said, one of the biggest misconceptions about microfinance is that people thought we just gave people $20, $25 and said, go start a business. He said that would have never worked. I mean, we're talking about people that not only had never had a business, but in many cases had never had a job. 97% of the recipients of microfinance in Bangladesh were women who didn't historically work in that culture. So he said, that's not what happened. We just didn't give them money. We had to create businesses that we would put them into and use microfinance to help them start that business. So he said the first social business we created in Bangladesh was designed to address the issue of childhood malnutrition in our country. He said malnutrition is the most devastating thing that happens in children's lives worldwide. Over half the kids in Bangladesh were malnourished. It's the #1 cause of death of children in the world today. It robs kids of their destiny. It inhibits their ability to grow and prosper, to learn, to concentrate. He said it just devastates their lives. And so we wanted to address that. So we had to have a manufacturing partner. And Dannon Yogurt stepped up to the plate and said they would build a manufacturing facility in Bangladesh, make little yogurt cups, enrich them with vitamins, make no profit on the manufacturing or wholesale distribution, put them in retail stores at prices that the poorest of the poor could afford. And he said, so that was a social enterprise. We put them into retail stores, he said, and not much happened. Retailers made their standard markups, which was fair. That's what we expected them to do. He said, and even though it was economical, no one knew the story. And he said, what we came to realize is that retailers didn't share the passion that we had for impacting these malnourished children. To them, it was just another commodity on their shelves, next to popsicles, behind diapers. And so people walked into their store. They didn't get presented the opportunity of what they could do to impact their children. They just sat behind the counter and rung up whatever the sales were. So he said we had to adopt a new strategy. So we went into the villages of Bangladesh and we enlisted village moms. These were the mothers of the children that were being impacted by this devastating thing called malnutrition. And we told them about the solution that we had created, how economical it was, and we used our microfinance to put them into business of selling these yogurt cups. We took all the profit and money that would come through the retailing model, sold it at exactly the same price, only gave it to the village moms. And he said within a year, the business had exploded. They said within a year where they had a good proliferation of village moms, they guesstimated that between 40 to 50% of all the kids in those villages were eating their yogurt cups. So he said, mission accomplished. And then they knew that they were on to something. And he said, so what I'm encouraging you to do, all the people at this conference, maybe 600 or 700 people, is to never try to attack status quo from a passive perspective like the retail model. He said, you got to go right into the heart of the problem. Find the people who are impacted by the problem, economically incentivize them to be part of the solution. And so after the conference, President Fox brought myself and Muhammad Yunus together and said, I love that story about the Grameen Dannon Yogurt Project. He said, I want to create a similar project, only instead of regionalizing it to Bangladesh or to Mexico, I want to make it worldwide. He said the reason is because malnutrition is not a developing world problem anymore, developing nation problem. It's a global epidemic. Children worldwide are malnourished because the face of malnutrition has changed over the last 50 years. It used to be a starving child maybe in Africa or Southeast Asia. He said today it's an obese child in the United States, Mexico, Europe, Australia. The World Health Organization is just now starting to talk about a new form of malnutrition that causes kids to be overweight and obese. So it's not a caloric deficiency that causes malnutrition. It's a deficiency of essential nutrients in the foods that we're eating. And he said we've got to educate moms. We've got to link them together worldwide. We've got to solve the problem. So we started a collaboration that day. We called it the EmSquared Project. EM stands for Eradicate Malnutrition by multiplying the efforts of compassionate people all over the planet who want to make a difference in the lives of these kids. So he said, we're going to need some partners. We're going to need a manufacturing partner like Dannon Yogurt who will agree to make these products at no manufacturing profit so that we can sell one into the marketplace at competitive retail pricing, because you have to bring good value to a consumer for this to work. And at the same time, because we make no profit, take our profit and match the same product to be donated to a child in need. Because the kids that we're going to impact have no capacity at all to purchase these products. So we'll do like the Tom shoe model. Every time they sell a pair of shoes, they donate a pair. So every time we sell one of our whole food, standardized whole food products, food bars, which we call the Hope Bar, we will donate one of equal value to a child in need. And then we will compensate compassionate people all over the planet for helping us solve the problem. So he said, what I want to do is link village moms together all over the world. Village moms in Texas, village moms in Oklahoma, in Mexico, in China, in wherever, to help bring an end to this problem of childhood malnutrition. And so what started as the EmSquared Project has now evolved into EmSquared, a company that does exactly what the project was designed to do. We create a whole food bar called the Hope Bar that is not only standardized with whole food ingredients, but all the vitamins and minerals come from whole food sources. That's a technology that I understand. That's the unique selling proposition into the marketplace for this bar. Because every other bar, every other food product in the marketplace that is standardized with vitamins and minerals, they're all enriched with synthetically made vitamins and minerals. And we have learned through science that food-based ingredients are completely different than those that are made in a chemical factory. And so we provide the first standardized nutritionally effective levels of nutrients in a whole food bar. That's the Hope Bar, guys. And listen, one bar will change your life, change the life of your child, change the life of your family. And so our model is simple. We just created an online store where we invite people into the EmSquared Project to purchase one box of bars for themselves and help us feed a malnourished child. That's why every bar says, buy one, feed two. You, your child, and a child in need someplace on the planet. And we do it through this social entrepreneur model where we reward each person out there that feels compassionate about helping us share this story with other village moms, with other compassionate people. So that in a nutshell is the program of EmSquared. Thanks for letting me share it with you. I know that people there will answer some of your questions about how you guys can become involved. Let me just close with this. Many of you may have seen this magazine. It's called Kingdom Life, and it's published by Miles Monroe. in his organization. Here's a brand new article that is just coming out that I was sent. It's called Social Entrepreneurship, the New Kingdom Strategy in the Marketplace. Said in the early 90s, revelation of a new vision for the marketplace began to come out of the church called the Joseph Company Anointing. Today, modern-day Josephs will be called into the marketplace for kingdom purposes. The world calls these visionaries social entrepreneurs. But make no mistake, their passion for addressing the world's biggest problems comes straight from the heart of God. It says there's a groundswell of new businesses popping up around the planet, led by a new breed of innovators who are advancing solutions that have the potential to transform the lives of people in all nations of the earth. That is the prophetic word that my wife got in 1993. And I'll just close with the last part of this article. And this is for all of us. It says, will the church receive the blessing? It says, historically, there's been a rejection of the marketplace from organized religion, which has spilled over into the church community. Some have labeled it a poverty mentality, which has disempowered the church and its members from taking their rightful roles as stewards of God's resources here on earth. This attitude has got to change if God's people are to prosper in the new emerging kingdom economy. And it is changing. In Guatemala, Cash Luna, head pastor of Casa de Dios, has partnered his church with the not-for-profit Manna Relief, that would be us, to provide a sustainable solution in the fight against malnourished children in his country. Modern-day Josephs are creating unprecedented opportunities for the true transfer of wealth through their disruptive invasion of the world's biggest industries. Those who hold on to their old, safe, comfortable boundaries and well-rehearsed rhetoric will miss the blessing. But those who embrace this new move of God will see their territories expand. These will be exciting times as God orchestrates the implementation of his new kingdom economic system. Guys, that is the Joseph anointing. That is social entrepreneurship. Thanks for allowing me to share this. Listen, if you guys want to pull a team together and do a conference call with me, please do that. Apostle Hodges, we finally come of age. What we talked about years ago has finally revealed itself to me, and I thank God for the blessing of social entrepreneurship and the Joseph Company anointing. Blessings to all of you. Have a great conference.